Way too early to call. Graphic for that one, and the same goes for Georgia's Senate race. And as Chuck just outlined, those two maybe the whole ball game in terms of who holds the Senate.
Yeah, let's keep an eye on that New Hampshire Senate race. Too early to call. Maggie Hassan right now with a lead over Republican. Ohio Senate, too early to call. Tim Ryan versus J.D. Vance, the Trump-backed candidate. And North Carolina Senate, too early to call.
Let's go to the governor's races in those all-important states of Georgia and Pennsylvania, because this is where we're talking about the ticket splitters and the ticket skippers. Georgia governor race, too early to call there. Brian Kemp in lead at this hour. Pennsylvania's governor's race, too early to call there as well. And Chuck, we talk about bellwethers, and you had singled out 3 districts in Virginia. And the 3 districts, your argument was it will show us a small, medium, or large wave. It's kind of like going to McDonald's and ordering your French fries. Are you supersizing the wave? And we're starting to get some indication.
Well, I was just going to say, we've been watching this all night. This does not look good for Elaine Luria. We haven't called it, but as you can see, she's down 20,000 votes total, down double digits. We only think there's about 55,000 votes left.
She was the most vulnerable.
Always the most vulnerable. This was what I called table stakes, if you will, on that front for the Republicans. They weren't going to win the majority without Virginia 2. Virginia 7 is the one, and look at this, 99%, look, it's Prince William County, for those wondering, in the Northern Virginia area that has remaining vote. I also want to remind you, keep an eye on this number. So if Spanberger's underperforming Biden by about 4 points, is that a pattern we see all night in these swing House races? It's certainly something I'm looking for here. But just to give you an idea, our estimated vote only says about 2,800 left. There's a 7,500 margin. Obviously, when you're talking, we're in the 3 and 4 figures here. We're not in the 5, so we want to be careful. But this is a sign of why we expect, at least this is why it looks like a good night for the Republicans in the House. 2 of 3. Like I said, I don't think we're going to get the supersize. This is a closer race, but Jennifer Wexton looks like she's going to hang on.
All right, polls set to close in 14 states in just moments from now, including the critical states of Arizona, Colorado, and Wisconsin.
More results just ahead.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Judy Gatson in the WIS newsroom with your election night update. Let's get right to the latest numbers. An early night for Governor Henry McMaster. NBC called that race at about 8:10 this evening, projecting that incumbent Republican Governor Henry McMaster will indeed run and serve another term here in South Carolina. We're checking out another hot race. Those are the latest results as of right now, showing McMaster with about 57% of the vote. The latest vote totals on WISTV.com. The other big race tonight, the State Superintendent of Education. We want to check in with our live reporter, starting with Mary Green, who is covering the Ellen Weaver campaign tonight. Mary?
Yes, Judy. And the good news here for folks who are at the South Carolina Republican Party's election night watch party, they're in a pretty good mood, and early results are showing that Weaver is out to a lead. I'm looking down here at the State Election Commission's websites that showing Weaver does have a lead, but it is pretty early. Only 4 out of 46 counties are reporting at this point. Just a little earlier in this evening, our Greg Adeline bumped into Weaver here at the party, and she told him she's just happy to be at the finish line after this campaign. Now, Weaver is coming into tonight with a significant lead over her Democratic challenger, Lisa Ellis. When it comes to terms of fundraising, she has significantly outraised Ellis in terms of those campaign donations. This is also a seat that has history on Weaver's side. Republicans have held this job for over a decade. Democrat hasn't won this race in 16 years. And SCGOP Chair Drew McKissick is predicting a red tsunami here in South Carolina. That's his term. Certainly, they believe Ellen Weaver will be part of that tonight in this race for State Superintendent of Education. Reporting live in Columbia, Mary Green, WS News 10.
All right, Mary, thank you very much. Also checking in with the Lisa Ellis campaign, our Chris Joseph covering that campaign tonight. Chris?
Good evening. Yeah, they're more or less sitting around and waiting for the results to come in as everybody else is. Miss Ellis will be taking the stage here in just a few minutes, if I'm not mistaken. That's our campaign manager. I'm going to step aside and let y'all take it from here if that's something we're going to be sticking with.
Tired, but good evening, everybody. I'm going to bring up our next speaker to say a few words and then introduce a wonderful speaker for tonight. Please help me introduce the chair of the South Carolina Democratic Party Black Caucus, Mr. Brandon Upson.
quick check on the weather, the election results as
Everybody, how are you doing?
WYSTV.com.
I know it's been a long day. I was out there canvassing too, but we have to have some energy because tonight.
A dry day tomorrow. So we are looking at dry conditions for our Wednesday with temperatures a little bit cooler, only going to be in the 60s. But I do have those first alert weather days for Thursday and Friday as the moisture from Tropical Storm Nicole will begin to push into the Midlands. Expecting the rain to arrive by about Tuesday afternoon around lunchtime or a little afterwards, and will continue pretty steady then all the way throughout the day on Friday. Could have some gustier winds up to maybe 40 miles per hour with some of those. And then we are looking at drier conditions and sunshine pushing into the weekend with temperatures in the 50s.
All right, that is our time for now. In the Superintendent of Education race, we wanted to show you the latest results in that race since we did not get to hear from Lisa Ellis just yet at her campaign election result there in the Embassy Suites in Columbia. But Ellen Weaver has about a 10 percentage points lead at this point. Still very early in the evening. All of the results available for you right now on WYSTV.com.
Welcome back to our live coverage of the 2022 midterm elections. It's 9 p.m. here on the East Coast, and the polls have just closed in 14 states all across the country.
Okay, so let's get to it. We've got a lot of results to read to you, and we'll start the Arizona Senate race. This is a very tight race, and stop me if you've heard this before. It is too early to call. We will keep an eye on that. Same story in Wisconsin, a Senate race. Ron Johnson trying to hold on. Mandela Barnes, the challenger there, too early to call.
We'll continue with the theme, too early to call, in Colorado. Right now in the Senate race there, Michael Bennett, the Democrat, over Joe O'Dea. In Iowa Senate, too early to call. Chuck Grassley against the Democrat Michael Franken.
Let's go to Kansas, and we can project that Jerry Moran will return to the United States Senate. There's a big governor's race going on there in Kansas. We don't have any results there yet to report. And in Louisiana, too